Welcome, Bernie.
Hello.
So,
Some technical difficulty.
Right. So, Bernie, as you see, we have 6 people. We were expecting a few more, but I suggest we'll just start. And I already gave the little technical introduction for everybody. So I'll just welcome everybody again to our meetings. This has been a really great opportunity to have Bernie do what he just loves to do, is just meet people and talk about what he really cares for, which are the 3 tenets. Bernie is the founder of Zen Peacemakers, and 30 years of legacy of bearing witness retreats, street retreats, and training really all over the world. So thank you, Bernie, for joining us. And I'll just pass it to you, and I'll help along. Francis, welcome.
Okay. What countries am I talking to? Miriam, where are you from?
I'm from Australia, but I'm actually in Ojai in California.
Ojai?
Mm-hmm. In California.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. Okay. Kinneret? That sounds like Hebrew.
Yes, it is Hebrew name. I am in Santa Fe right now.
Santa Fe. With Joan Halifax?
I was there 2 years ago. I'm not with Upaya right now, but I'm still here in the community.
Yeah.
Bernie, Kinneret also been with us in Poland 2 years ago when the one retreat you missed. She was with us in Auschwitz.
I see. Okay. And my niece's name is Yardena. Robert, where are you from?
I'm in Annapolis, Maryland, and I'm in a Starbucks right now because the president is giving his speeches very near our house and has wiped out our home Wi-Fi. So sorry about the noise in the back.
Okay. Is there a way you can give me a sip of cappuccino? We don't have that technology yet.
No, not yet.
I didn't finish my cappuccino. And Barbara?
I am from New York City, and I'm coming to you from Bradley Beach, New Jersey.
Brighton Beach?
Bradley Beach.
I was born in Brighton Beach. Brighton.
Ah.
And Nicolai?
I'm in Vienna, Austria right now.
Where?
In Vienna, Austria. I live in Austria, Europe.
I see. Okay. And Francis?
Upstate New York, a city called Troy.
A city called what?
Troy.
Troy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Near Utica.
Huh?
Near Utica, I think.
What?
Near Utica, I think, New York. Troy.
Troy, yeah. I got it. Okay. So, what I'd like to do is start with Miriam and go around and ask you to, if you have any questions, or, huh?
Bernie, may I suggest something?
Sure.
How about you give us how you see today the 3 tenets, just quickly, so all of us can land again in the subject.
Oh, okay. First, could you please raise your hand if you know what the 3 tenets are? 1, 2, 2, 3 hands. Okay. They're not 3 different people that are renting apartments. I first introduced the phrase 3 tenets and the study of 3 tenets. I can't remember, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, something like that. I had a stroke about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. My memory's not so good. But I'll just say what they are. The first tenet, and the Zen Peacemakers are sort of built around these 3 tenets. But so is life. The first tenet is not knowing. And it doesn't mean ignorance. It means being open to everything, not being fixed on any one concept. We all have different things that we tend to be fixed on. And not knowing is to be totally open to whatever is happening, whatever is coming up. And as soon as it comes up, to let it go. So it's an open slate. Open slate. Bearing witness is the second tenet, and it means to totally be with what's happening, what is occurring. Not so between those 2. Not knowing is not being fixed on anything. That is, no matter what I see in your head, higher dove, in your head you may be thinking I'm a teacher and things I say have some sort of significance. Maybe you could think that, but don't hang on to that. Don't hang on anything. And bearing witness is we try to penetrate what's happening. So now, right now, I'm talking. Try to penetrate that talking, not the concepts, but what's happening right now. Try to penetrate what's happening right now. And then what's sort of a little unusual, but not, I introduced this 30 years ago, so it's not so unusual, is their tenet is to do something. Do something based on not knowing and bearing witness. But don't sit there facing the wall and think that by being totally facing the wall, that I'm doing the right thing. And then, man, do something. Do something that's based on that state of not knowing and bearing witness. Now, just so that amount, we can study for years. Because it's not so easy. It's not so easy to sit there not knowing. It's not. We are constantly trying to capture some new truth, and not knowing there is no truth. See, it's whatever's happening. That's what's happening, and bearing witness is bearing witness to it. Now, based on those, let's do something. I don't know what to do. That should come up naturally. If you can sit there in this state of not knowing and bearing witness, things will come up, things that you should do. You don't have to ask somebody else what's the right thing to do, man. The thing to do is going to come up from inside of you. Okay, that's my 10-minute spiel. I think I was 10 minutes or something like that. And now I'm going to ask you to ask me questions about that. And if you don't have any questions, but if you have some important answers, let us know about them too, so that we can share with your wisdom. Okay, we'll start with, I could either start with somebody or I can wait for somebody to say something. But I'm going to start with somebody. I'm going to start with Miriam because she's at the corner of my screen. And then we're going to go around after Miriam. We'll call it Pinera and run it. Okay, you got the floor, Miriam.
I just want to say thank you. I feel so grateful for being here and being here with you, Bernie. Just deep gratitude. My heart, just in hearing you talk, just is opening. And so, yeah, I'm just feeling that. And I guess I come with a struggle as much as a question. And it's my struggle around the first tenet of not knowing. And I guess I just a couple of days ago, we have these spaces called we spaces where we enter into not knowing. And I have a struggle between my planning and continually coming back to planning and strategy and in my life. And I'm interested in your relationship with planning, you know, even putting dates in calendars and a feeling of a responsibility to plan and make sure I've looked after things with the tenet of not knowing. And I feel the tension between those. And so, yeah, what sort of planning and strategy allows not knowing or opens to what knowing, and what, in your experience, makes it too fixed and too closed?
Uh-huh. So I have a few different careers. I'm a mathematician, an engineer, and I do, in those roles, I've done a lot of planning. The way the three tenets tie in to the game of planning is to not do your planning based on some fixed ideas. Be open to what's coming up now. Oh, this is how I'm dealing with planning. You don't you know, we study planning, and we have techniques for planning and stuff like that. But those, in some way, are traps. When you're doing your planning, you want to be fresh. Let it be new. Your planning is coming out of now. It's not coming out of some fixed recipe that you were handed down with. This is how you do planning. Well, man, I don't know about that, you know. So well, that's the I'm trying to say easy, but the nice thing about the three tenets is that you don't have to have anything before. It's just what's coming up. And now contains everything. So it's all there. Don't worry about it. And let yourself plan out of what's coming up. What's coming up. I've never given a talk in which I prepared for it. I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just the way it is, man. I don't come from the space of knowing. And it's, so let's say I think I'm coming from the space of not knowing. And I do my planning and I write my script. That's what I'm going to say. And now I go in front of the people and I say from my script what I had planned to do. And I see it blank faces, that my words aren't meaning anything to them. So I drop what I had planned. And I look at those blank faces and I become those blank faces. What the hell are we talking about? And we'll go from there. So we're very fresh. We're going from now. We may run out of time if I keep yapping around. So Kinneret. Kinneret is also a lake. And in Israel, there's a lake. What do we say in English for Kinneret? The Jordan River. But yeah, then there's Jordan too.
Yep.
So what would you like to say, Kinneret?
Well, I'll just say what's the hardest for me right now. With the work that I'm doing, working with young people who are in and out of incarceration and in and out of addiction, and just really just struggling in a lot of different ways. Sometimes I feel my place in this work is to hold a sense of faith, to hold a sense of hope, to hold a sense of possibility. And I don't know how to do that with not knowing mind. I have no idea what's going to happen to them. And we've seen some people don't make it through what they're going through. I'm kind of constantly like in what is genuine, how to keep showing up authentically and hopefully, and not, not offer false encouragement, if that makes sense. So those are some of the things that are alive, right now.
Wherever you are, you become the right instrument. And you may worry and say, oh, I'm not the right instrument. And you can say, oh, I wonder, how can I find the right instrument? You can't find it. Right now, you are the right instrument. And So you can learn from what you are doing. Not saying, I don't know what to do. I'm going to learn from what I'm doing. I'm doing something. I know I'm doing something. I'm here. What can I learn from that? You know, I had as I said, I had a stroke about 2.5 years ago. And for a while, I couldn't say anything. I couldn't do anything. And finally, I realized, well, I can learn from this. I'm speaking in my head because I couldn't verbalize it. And still, I'm somewhat in that condition. It doesn't mean I can't enter and share with you things. But I don't have that much of a memory. So I can't get into the trap of what do I do? Who knows what to do? Who knows what to do? So if all of you could go into the space of not knowing, if we could all go into that together, man, that's pretty cool. There's 9 of us here who, instead of the 9 of us trying to figure out the right things to do, we just do it. And then later we say, well, what was that all about? And oh, that's something to learn. I can learn that. Yeah. So don't worry too much about not knowing where you should be doing or what you should be doing. Just do it, man. That's the third tenet. You're skipping 2 tenets into the third. Just do it. And you, Robert, what do you have to say about all this?
Me? Well, I'm thinking about the upcoming trip to Auschwitz. And as you said so many times, not seeing other people as other, seeing ourselves as other. It's not so hard to envision myself as a victim, and it terrifies me to visualize my daughter in the children's barracks. But I'm not doing much in the way of being able to see the guards there as not other. They're still other. I don't see myself doing that. And so what's the way to put myself into that whole situation and not be other from everything there?
Yeah. So, you know, I mentioned these 3 tenets, and it's difficult to practice them. There's a book, Shiviti. How many have heard of a man who was in Auschwitz, and he wrote a book, Shiviti. He after Auschwitz, he was there the whole time, and he couldn't use his name. Couldn't use his name. And if couldn't use his name. And he wrote a book called Cultivate. He wrote a number of books. But that when the first retreat at Auschwitz, we used that book. And it was writings that came out of his treatments after the war by a therapist in Holland. I'm not sure if it's Holland or Belgium, but at any rate, lots of stuff came up, and he wrote it all down. And things came up with that his sister was also in Auschwitz. He wrote a book commemorating her. She was in something that they called doll house. It was a whorehouse. And she killed herself. She ran out of the doll house into electric fence and died. When we used his book, it was out of print, and we decided to print it. To do printing, I spoke with him, and he said if we reprint it, he would like the name to be "I was the SS man." The publisher wouldn't let us do it. But part of what he happened to him was he realized that he was all these people. So he was the God, the SS God. He was the couple. The couple was the people that were like jailers. Yeah. So it's hard to do that, you know, to be that. It has been a time that you thought that you were being a cruel to someone, or if we can assume that, and okay, Barbara.
I'm thinking about not knowing and bearing witness. And it seems until you become adept at it and can do it on the fly, it requires time for cultivation, quiet, and reflection. And I guess I ask this as the mother of two teenagers who have fallen down the rabbit hole of technology and gadgets. but also for myself, because I see these tendencies and the busyness of everyday life. I'm just wondering what you have to say about creating the time to cultivate space for these qualities to arise. Yeah. So not knowing and bearing witness, or at least in early stages, requires that I get quiet and listen carefully and make space before I can, just do it in day-to-day life. And I'm just wondering about the busyness of everyday life, particularly technology, when it comes to watching the addiction of my teenage sons and myself, and just the multitude of to-do items that we have on our lists. Like, how do we make this a primary way of being in the face of so much going on around us?
Yeah, and good question. You know, I became a Zen monk. I entered a Zendo before becoming a monk in 1966, and was introduced to how to sit still and how to try to quiet the mind and all that. Somewhere, I'm not sure when, maybe 1980, around 1980, I don't know. I realized that's not life. That's a piece of life. But I got to be like that all the time. And not just one kind of sit still and or in the midst of praying or there are all kinds of things that help us to quiet the mind. But originally, it is busy the mind. And that's when we need to be in the space of not knowing and bearing witness is when it's busy, not when it's quiet. That's easy. And if you can do that an hour a day, then you can say, "Oh, I need that. I need that space. I need that place. When is that hour gonna come where I can get into that?" Man, what about now? What about now? I'm very busy now. Oh yeah, but what about now? Who said that? Be here now. The guy I happen to know, you may have heard of him. Be here now. Yeah, you gotta be able to do it now. My wife will soon be publishing a book of koans. Koans are things that are used by Zen people who are training to work on koans. But what she realizes is that most koans came out of monasteries, out of the lives of monks. So she's publishing a book of koans that come out of family life. And family life is not necessarily so quiet and still. But it's also part of life. I'm looking forward to reading that. Okay, next. Nicolene.
Hello. I have to apologize for my English. It's not my native language.
Me too. I speak Brooklynese.
And I'm actually here because I'm curious, and I was Googling Auschwitz and meditation, and then I found the Zen Peacemakers. And I was in kind of a very difficult situation because my mother is an Auschwitz survivor. She was there as a child, but she never talked about it. And we're living here in Vienna, which is also kind of a special situation. And so it was like a big family secret. And then about 2 years ago, I had all those pictures coming up about concentration camps, and I was starting to get involved in the topic. And it was very confusing and emotionally very difficult and very ambivalent. And at the same time, I was doing meditation on a regular basis, and I was I got interested in mindfulness. So I was trying to put everything together, but somehow haven't found my way through. And at the moment, I'm thinking about doing the trip to Auschwitz, but I'm not sure if I'm prepared for it yet. So I was just curious to find to get a better feeling about the Zen Peacemakers, and to somehow be able to proceed in my the decision.
A number of people on this screen had done Auschwitz retreat, and they probably will all have different things. You would talk with them. I don't know how easy it is to talk with them. I remember the first time I did an Auschwitz retreat. It was very powerful. And I had no way of preparing for it. This is 25 times later. It's still, I don't know how to prepare for it. So the time is when you're ready to do it. It's this not knowing business. You can't prepare. You gotta go in not knowing and let the Auschwitz be your teacher. That's my feeling. So jump into it. So I'm not sure where we are. They keep jumping around on the screen. So, and I have a terrible memory because of, so I don't know who spoke.
We have Francis and Dove.
That's the only one, Francis and Dove. And Dove I know from a long time. And Francis, I don't know. So know what do you got to say, Francis?
I'm pretty new to this idea of the three tenets, but it's quite interesting to me as a kind of means to walk in the world and to figure out what action to take. But I don't really have my own question at this point, but I was really struck by someone else's earlier about what faith means in how you can develop faith out of not knowing. And I was wondering if you could get into that more recently. I've been getting into some community organizing stuff, and I'm also have been doing a meditation through Tibetan Buddhism for more than 2 years now. And I wonder if you have any thoughts on the relationship between a mindfulness practice and the development of faith.
One of my Zen teachers, he lived in, he wasn't a day-to-day teacher, he lived around 1200. There was Dogen, and for him, faith was most important. And many people that start studying Zen say, what's faith got to do with it? Well, with faith, the way this Japanese guy Dogen did, you'll see that his notion of faith was the same as my notion of not knowing. It wasn't faith in something. It was just faith, the space of faith. Can you have faith without having a sixth thing that you're having faith in? So that's, it's an important word. And what does it really mean, having faith? We'll have to go over it more, Francis. I don't know how we're going to do that, but we'll have to go over it more. Okay, and I'm losing my strength, so we'll go to Dove because he's got enough strength for both of us. Dove.
Yeah.
So, Bernie, I just wanted to sit with you. That's all I wanted, and I sit here. You know, it's crazy that in 2018 I can sit here in my car and hearing, and in my 68 years, which is teaching me more each day than I think.
We're having transmission problems.
So thank you for this conversation.
We don't always just sit and stare at each other. But anyway, I want to thank you all for coming. And I will, until Until next time.
Mm.
Lagi po.
Thank you, Bernie, for
Thank you.
spending an hour with us. And thanks everybody for coming. And thanks for giving your time and your attention, and those who donated. Thank you so much for that. And we plan to do more of these, so you can follow them on our membership platform. And also, please feel free to continue this conversation on the membership platform in Bernie's room, because there was really great subjects coming up in terms of faith and training and planning, and it will be wonderful to continue that over there. And I would just say a word to Nicole, is that we will be doing another a call with some of the staff from the Auschwitz retreat, and it's particularly designed for people who haven't come before and are thinking about it. So just be aware of that, and that will come soon also. So thanks, everybody.
I think I've registered for it already. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I unmuted everybody, so you can say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Thank
Bernie.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.